all women short men fantasy story. Returning from his 1-month trip to Europe, David arrives at home. He had a lot of fun, but in the end he was missing his mother Susan and his younger sister Janet. David cares for them a lot. It's the first time he got separated from them in the last 10 years. Both Janet and David still live with their mother even if they are in their early 20s, and they don't want to leave her. When their father dumped their mother and simply disappeared, the three of them got closer and were always there for each other. He cannot wait to see them and hug them tight. David is the biggest one in the family, and he is at only 5 feet 3. Both his mother and sister are smaller than him at only 5 foot even. Susan is a good-looking woman in her early 40s while Janet is a cute little punk girl. Well, he's about to find out that things have changed a lot while he was away. Coming into the living room, he sees someone sitting on the couch. He can only see the back of the couch and the back of that person from where he is. Who's that, he asked himself. When that person turns toward him, David cannot believe his eyes. It's his mother. But something is definitely wrong. Sitting on the couch, she seems taller than him and looks a lot wider than before. "Hi, my sweet little Davy, come on in. We have a big surprise for you," Susan says. Dropping his luggage and getting closer to her, his face changes from happy to puzzled very quickly. When he gets in front of her, his jaw drops to the floor. Never in his life he had seen muscle that big on a human being. What is going on, he asks himself. Suddenly, Susan gets up and up and up. Now standing before him, David's eyes come up at her navel. He looks up at her smiling face in disbelief. He called her almost every day for the last month and never she had told him what happened to her. Suddenly he hears a door opens behind him. "Davy, you're back," Janet beams at him. He recognizes the voice, but it sounds different. He then hears the thud of her heavy footsteps and feels the floor tremble from it under his own feet. No, not her too, he thinks. Then she appears in his field of view. He had to back up a bit to be able to see both of them, now standing about 8 foot tall each with muscle that would make Hulk look scrawny. "What happened to you?" David manages to ask. "Well, a few days after you left I saw an ad in the newspaper. They were looking for people to do some test on them. They thought they found a way to make people grow even if they stopped growing. They injected us a strange orange liquid and we had to wait. It took an hour for the growth to complete. As you can see, it worked. But with a little side effect," starts Janet, smiling at her once taller brother that looks like a kid in front of 2 Amazon women. "The technician wasn't expecting that kind of growth in height. And we weren't supposed to grow in muscle at all. At first we weren't happy at all, but we got used to this, and even began to like it. And the lab paid us over $100,000 each in compensation for that accident. So what is not to like?" Susan continues speaking and looking at him softly like she would with a 5-year-old. "I left my old job and found a new one in a stripper club. I'm a doorwoman. I love to see the face of men when they enter the club. Let's just say that they behave when I'm there. Who wouldn't be if there's someone with muscle that big watching you?" Janet says, raising her arm and making her huge biceps bulge. That single arm's as to be a lot bigger than his hips. "Remember what I told you about my boss at the office who was often screaming at me and other employees? The first time he saw me he almost passed out. Let's just say that he's been very quiet and watches how he speaks to me," Susan says, grinning. "So little Davy, I hope you don't mind living with 2 Amazon women. You don't have to be scared. We won't hurt you, but we might have fun teasing you," says Janet, grinning at him. David looks at the 2 giantesses smiling at him. He used to tease Janet in the past and argue a bit with his mother. Let's just say then that time is over. "So Davy, did you take some pictures while you were there?" asks Susan, trying to break the uncomfortable silence that was settling in. "Yay, pictures. Show them to us," exclaims Janet in a girlish way. At least she hasn't lost her child side she always had, David's thinking. "Okay, but let me just take my luggage to my..." "I'll take care of it," proposes Janet, heading towards them. "Thanks, Janet, let me just take my tablet first," he tells her. Kneeling before one of his bags, he opens it and takes his iPad. Standing back up and turning around, he finds himself facing his little sister Abs. He cannot believe how defined they are and how huge she is in general. Looking up at her face, he can see her smiling at him. He smiles back and steps aside as she bends down to take his heavy luggage. She lifts the two heavy bags with one hand effortlessly, like they weighted nothing. It took him a lot of effort carrying them on his shoulders, and now it looks weightless to her. Heading towards the couch, his mother is already sitting on it waiting for her son. He sits beside her and turns his tablet on. As Janet is coming back from his bedroom, Susan put her huge right arms behind his back with her hand on his side and pulls him towards her huge frame like he weighted nothing. "Here, honey, come close to mommy so your little sister can have some room," she tells him. Susan cannot help but to bend down and kiss the top of his head, which makes him blush a bit. At first, she wasn't happy at all to have become so huge and tall. She was supposed to gain only a few inches with this treatment, not over 3 feet in height. But to see the people's reaction towards her made her smile. Everybody was looking at her differently. She has always been nice and maternal with her surrounding. Now she has the body to match her personality. At her job, she loves to hug her co-workers and kiss the top of their head like they were kids. They got used to it very quickly. And it's funny to see the things that needed 3 strong men to lift now only needs 1 strong woman to do it effortlessly. The guys accepted her very quickly, and some even enjoyed being lifted and squeezed against her while she hugs them. She was kind of afraid of the reaction her surrounding could have towards her, but in the end everybody seems to be at ease with her. But with David it's something else. When he was a kid, David was the only one she felt tall beside him. At 5 foot even, she always felt dwarfed by everybody. When he grew taller and stronger than her, she was happy, but like every mother in the world she loved to feel his smaller frame against hers when they cuddle. To feel like the protector, the one he needed the most. She missed being called mommy too instead of mum. So to have him so little next to her reminds her of the old time and pleases her. Seeing her grown man so small showing her the picture on his tablet reminds her of when he was little and he was showing her his drawer he made. She even likes to see him blush and a bit intimidated by her. To be so much bigger than him like in the past, and to see that he knows it too and realizes that his mother is once again the biggest and strongest one between the two. Janet sits beside her brother facing him. Growing up she always looked up to him. When they were kids, he used to tease her and wrestle with her a bit like kids would do, and of course he always won. But he was gentle with her, not wanting to hurt her, just to show who was the stronger of the two. She remembers once there was a guy who was insulting her at school and David came to defend his little sister. The guy started to beat him up pretty badly, telling him to mind his own business until the principal came to help him. He was laying on the floor, nose bleeding, and she knelt beside him to help him. She asked him why he did this, and he answers that this is why big brothers are there, for which made her smile. "Nobody can torment my little sister, only I can," he told her with a smile which made both of them laugh. When their father left them, she took it really hard. She loved him like every little girl loves their daddies, and she cried often missing him. David was always there to comfort her and to tell he will always be there for her. He did the same with their mother, who took it really bad too. He started working part-time jobs while going to school to help to pay the bills. From that moment Janet didn't saw him as an annoying older brother anymore. He was the man of the house to her, and she always respected him for stepping up for them when they needed it. He was her tall and strong hero, defending her against bullies and the one she looked up to as a model. Now she looks down on him through her cleavage while he sits between her and their mother. She cannot believe how small he is compared to them, looking like a 7-year-old kid between two grown women. She enjoys being so much bigger and stronger than him and would love to play rough a bit with him, wrestling him to the ground like when they were kids. She loves to see him a bit intimidated and shy around her mother and herself. Her once hero becoming so little and weak before her makes her smile and pleased a bit. Not because she's mean, but because she is pleased by the role reversal. Now it's time for her to take care of her big brother like he did for her. It has not been always easy for him growing up to be always the smaller boy around, and he got bullied a lot. Sometimes she heard him cry in his bedroom. When she came and asked him if he was all right, he replied that he was fine and that he had a speck of dust in his eye. He took everything life had thrown at him, from the bullying to their further leaving, and faced it, even if it was hard for him too. She always loved him so much and felt little before him. And even with him sitting so small and frail before her, she still feels like a little girl before his big brother. She cares for him a lot and would do anything to make him smile and happy at her. She would love to hug him, squeezing his fragile frame against her. And she will. David remembers when he left a month ago, when he hugged the two women against him at the same time. They were even shorter and smaller than him. He felt like a man around them instead of a dwarf like he is now. He knows they still respect him and care for him, but he cannot help but to feel intimidated and shy around them. He is used to be smaller than other people, but not that much. At least, they are gentle with him. So far, he thinks. He keeps on showing the pictures and tells his stories about his travel, focusing on his tablet and trying not to look at his immediate surrounding. It is now late and time to go bed. After viewing all the pictures David took on his travel, Susan stands up stretching and tells David and Janet that she's going to sleep. Feeling tired from his day, David says that he should go to his bedroom too. I think we forgot to tell you something," starts Janet. David looks at her face, not sure what she meant by that. "Oh, you're right, Janet. While you were away, we took your queen-size bed and putted it into Janet's bedroom. Her old single bed was way too small for her and was all broken from her first night of sleep on it, so we got rid of it. Unfortunately, that means you don't have a bed until we receive our custom-size bed for us. We should receive them maybe in a week or two," informs Susan, almost cooing at her son like he was 5 years old. David looks at her mom with a sad expression, finding this unfortunate for him. "Oh. All right, I understand. Well, I guess I'll just sleep on the couch until then," he answers. "Oh, sweetie, it might not be a good idea. We destroyed that couch in the last month when we were sitting on it with our heavy bodies. You won't be able to sleep well on it," tells Susan. "So where I could sleep until you receive your beds?" asks David. "Well," starts Janet as she stands up facing her brother. "You could sleep with Mom or me until we receive them," suggests Janet. "Yeah, that would be great. You could stay with me one night and the other night with your sister. I know I would love to cuddle you close to my big body like when you were a kid. And I'm sure your sisters would love it too," confesses Susan. David is looking at the two Amazons standing before him. He's not sure he likes the idea of being cuddled close to such big women. Not that he doesn't like them, but he feels so small compared to them. He loves them, but he cannot help but to feel intimidated and weak before them. But at the same time, he doesn't want to disappoint them. He doesn't want them to feel like freaks before him. Both of them are looking at him with pleading eyes. It is obvious that they enjoy having him so small next to them. He may feel small and pathetic before them, but he knows they wouldn't hurt him, never. "So Davy, who will you choose for tonight?" asks Janet.